get started and do a couple introductions while you guys are eating, and I know people are jumping on the call still, and maybe some people trickling in. My name is Mac Davenport. I'm the operations manager for ServPro Cape Girardeau and Scott counties. Make our team's introductions real quick. Up here helping us out is Jackson Giroux. He is our community engagement representative. He goes to all of our events for us, does pictures, does video, does a lot of online stuff for us. So Joe Callahan back in the green right there. He is our marketing sales manager. He oversees all marketing activity, everything like that. And then Dan Zimch right there with the plate of food is one of our account reps. I know you guys have, some of you may know Dan when he comes around and talks to people and talks about business and stuff like that. So just wanted to give a quick introduction to who we are, who's here today from our team. And then I was told to inform everybody that if you haven't signed in on the sheets back there to sign in. That was for you guys, not me. So we'll go ahead and get started. Wanted to take some time to, I'm thankful, I want to say thank you to you guys and Robinson Construction for allowing us to be here, feed you guys some food. That's always good, right? And then have the opportunity to talk to you guys a little bit about our company, what we do, the services that we provide, and how we could be good partners together, hopefully, Lord willing, in the future. So, to introduce ourselves and tell our story, we started back in 1980. Richard Hastings is the founder of our company. In 1980, he got his start working for a franchise out in Delaware. He was a school teacher before that, and quit being a school teacher, bought the franchise in Delaware from the owner that he worked for, ran it for a couple of years, ended up selling that company to his one of his sisters, and then decided to take a leap of faith and go all in ServPro, and bought the very first ServPro franchise in the state of Missouri back in the 80s. He moved to St. Louis from Delaware. And if you ever get the opportunity to hear his story of how that started, it's an amazing story that I can't do justice. But one of the main reasons he moved to St. Louis to start the very first ServPro franchise in the state is because he liked the St. Louis Cardinals. So that was his sole reasoning, according to him. But he ran that company for up in St. Louis for the next 10 years or so, and saw an opportunity, married Sandy Hastings, who used to be Estes, who's originally from Cape Girardeau, and they met up in St. Louis, got married, and they saw an opportunity to move down here and start a franchise down this way. And one of the cool things about our company that not many people know is that when Richard moved to Missouri and started our company, he also started what we called the directorship or the trainership for the state of Missouri. So for all of these years, up until a couple years ago, we were business consultants to all of the ServPro franchises in the state of Missouri. And Richard, when he moved to Missouri, he said, originally when I moved, there was nobody to direct but myself, and we were able to grow ServPro's network and footprint in the state of Missouri from his one franchise to now 42 franchise licenses in Missouri and part of Kansas on the Kansas City side, with between 28 owners. So that was part of our work as well, was growing the ServPro network in the state and then consulting and starting those franchises and working with them to grow them. So that's a little bit about our story, how we got our start. We are celebrating 30 years in business this September. I'm very excited about that. There are not many companies in the world that get started and grow to a point where they can celebrate 30 years in business. I know you guys have had a long history as well, so it's always good to celebrate that history. And then about 5 years ago, my wife and I moved down. My wife is the daughter of Sandy and Richard, and we began a process of ownership transition with them for the past 5 years. They've been great mentors and coaches. So that's our story of our business. Wanted to share that with you just to connect how we got our start, where we're at, where we're headed for the future. So Wanted to talk also about some key differentiators between our company and some of the competition that's out there. We're not the only company around that does restoration work. So what makes us different from them? One of the biggest things is restore versus replace, a mentality. We approach every single loss with a mentality of restoring it versus replacing it. Drying materials versus removing materials, cleaning materials, and sealing. And so a lot of companies will come in and just, if it's wet, we remove it and we replace it. And that's okay to an extent if it's warranted. One of the things that our company has strived to accomplish is if it can be dried and saved, that's going to minimize damage costs, minimize claims costs. And we'll tie this into what you guys do in a little bit. But that's one of the key differentiators. Speed is critical. We actually celebrated just recently 2,000 franchise units in the country and part of Canada. So over 1,800 is true. It's actually, to be exact, 2,000 CertaPro locations in the nation. So when water or fire damage happens, speed is everything. The first person there usually not only gets the work, but is needed. Whoever can get there the fastest to mitigate that loss is important to the overall cost of a claim or damage, right? Water doesn't sit still, water moves. Water, the science of drying, water moves from wet to dry. So if it's drier over there than it is here, water's moving that direction. So the quicker a company can get there to assess loss and mitigate that loss, the better. So with that footprint, we are quicker to any size disaster that could potentially happen. Drying to IICRC standards. How many of you know of anything about restoration work at all? Is there anybody in here that has any clue what IICRC is? Awesome. The IICRC is a non-profit third-party organization that creates standards for mitigation work for companies like ours. There is a technical name for it that I will show later. These are standards by which we have to go to make sure that a structure is dry, properly cleaned, properly done to standards, so that way issues don't arise with structural integrity later. So with that being said, we have developed to validate that drying process through proprietary software that our crews use in the field to validate every single step of the way, moisture readings, everything. Okay, so that's a little bit about what separates us from the competition. Our training, we train to excellence. We are two of the 13, and there may be a little bit more certified training facilities with the IICRC. We have 3 ASD, which is Applied Structural Drying training facilities, and we provide CE classes and things like that. Connecting communication, we communicate, we document throughout, we send that documentation daily for commercial projects, things of that nature. And one of the value adds that I want to touch on for you guys is an emergency ready profile. This is a value add to a lot of commercial clientele. I just wonder if you've ever been building a facility for one of your guys' clients, and you get finished with the project, everybody's happy, and heaven forbid they have a storm roll through and roof blows off, floods their entire facility right after you guys finish this project, right? It's never happened, right? Never happened to you guys. Okay, you guys build and it's perfect, and I love that. But what if it did happen? What are they going to do? Okay, now I'm gonna put you guys in a weird spot. You get done with that facility and we're still waiting on payment. That's never happened before, right? Now what happens if you're waiting on payment for that last installment for this new facility, and then the storm rolls through and they have all of these damages, all of this stuff happens, and now they're financially burdened with getting things put back, cleaned up, rebuilt, and have to pay you, and that's so much of financial burden that they go under. What happens then, right? That's one of the value adds of our emergency ready profile. going into a commercial facility, whether you guys just built it or it's been built for a long time, and making sure that they have a plan in place. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Here's where I want to go. Commercial services, we're going to talk about commercial services, we're going to talk about program options, project storm management, and then some of the performance metrics that we go off of. I know that we have some gift cards, is that right, Joe, to give away. So I'm going to figure out ways that you guys can win a gift card. I'm going to figure out a good question to ask. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to figure out one way you guys can win something. So 24-hour emergency response services for water damage services, fire damage services, bioremediation, document restoration, construction services, which we started a couple years ago. Trust me, there's no competition here. Okay, you guys are way in a league of your own. Our construction services do not even come close, so don't get worried. Facility cleaning and restoration. So for the cleaning, commercial services, these are a list of what we provide, services that we provide, contents cleaning and restoration. We do all sorts of different cleaning. You guys have actually used us a couple times for post-construction cleanup, right? How has that gone for you guys? Let me just throw that out there. What has your experience been like? First person to answer gets a gift card. There it is. There it is. There it is. Awesome. So hopefully the experience has been good there. We do offer that service. We have tons of different ways that we can support commercial facilities with our services. And here are a couple of pictures, some of the pictures that we have from success stories of commercial restoration work, whether it be water, fire, sewer backup, things of that nature. We have a large capacity. Here's where we want to get to the emergency ready profile. So for commercial clientele that we service, this is a huge thing. Nobody really plans on a disaster happening. When you guys do a commercial build, you guys aren't really expecting a plumber to hit a pipe or somebody to, let's just say you guys are doing a roof and the process to put this roof on smokes up this entire facility because they're doing a rubber roof, requires some heat, requires some different things, right? You guys know more about that than I do, but I know in my experience, I have seen multiple different roofing companies create fire and smoke loss from their roofing activity. And so the question is, nobody really plans on that to happen, but you can plan for it, right? And so the question is, are you ready for whatever happens? And the ERP is really helpful in bringing this plan into action. I can remember a time where I walked into a large facility and we were talking to the risk manager, and I asked him, what is your guys' process? What is your company's process if you were to have something happen in this facility? Whether it's water, fire, doesn't matter, and it interrupts workflow, it's got business interruption. What is your guys' process? And he picked up this large binder about this thick and started flipping through pages of what their process is supposed to be in this situation. I said, you gotta stop, just hang on. You've lost your company. You've lost your business. That's it. If it takes you that long to figure out what you're supposed to do and what your process is, you've lost your company. 40% of companies that suffer damage, storm damage, water damage, fire damage, do not ever recover from that incident. So keep that in mind as you guys are building facilities. Finding value add to your clients in this manner is huge. So that way when the build is done, the business starts operating in this facility, are they prepared if something were to happen? And do you guys have a way to connect them to being prepared? That could be a huge value add from you guys to your clients as you do builds. have an emergency ready profile. It's at no cost to our commercial clientele. We do it for free. And one of the things that we focus on is if something were to happen, where are the shutoffs, gas, water, things of that nature? Where do trucks need to go if we need to roll up into your facility and do work? What are some of the key parameters around if this happens, here's what we need to do in a very concise manner. So think about that as you guys do builds. That is a huge value add to your client that we can provide at no cost to them or to you guys. Project and storm management. Serpro has mobilization teams across the country that service and travel as needed. After large storm events, we have traveled over the years to almost 10 different hurricane storm events to go help people recover from those moments, those disasters. And we have strategically positioned teams throughout the country. We have a centralized reporting office. We have 2 storm teams nationally that help coordinate other offices to travel into certain areas. So if anything were to happen from a storm perspective or a really large project perspective, we have the capacity to get people into those areas. One of the cool things too about our corporate offices, we have a meteorologist on staff. So we're constantly getting weather reports from that meteorologist to help us prepare as best we can. From a project management standpoint, we have a designated project manager on every single loss. And so that way everything is as smooth as it could possibly be. We are required daily to have progress meetings with everybody involved. Usually progress reports go out via email. It's not always a formal sit down, it's not always a conversation. A lot of the times it's sent via email to everybody involved. And we use our proprietary software to help validate all of that. It's web-based, it's real-time, there's snapshots of job progress, so that way you guys would know every step of the way what's going on. Priority responders, this is a map showing our coverage area. Okay, so I know that you guys are all over the country as well, right? What are some areas that you have that you're servicing right now that you guys are doing builds in? Perryville, right? Obvious, we'll start local. Ohio, Illinois. Okay. Oh, and Illinois. I was like, man, I've never been there. Okay. Ohio and Illinois. So you guys are in multiple states. If something were to happen with one of your subs that causes water or fire damage at a facility, right? Who are you calling? Ghostbusters. Give that man a gift card. That's it. I think those are the only 2 we had. So congratulations. Yeah, it's a real question, right? It's a real question. If something were to happen in Ohio, who's calling? Who are you going to get out there to do this? And what would your process be if that happened? What is your guys' internal requirements and procedures for if your roofing guy smokes up this facility trying to put a roof on? Okay? We have the coverage. We have a network that can cover you. The dots are showing coverage areas of our large loss response teams. So these are teams designated by our corporate office to handle projects that are hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars worth in damage and project management. And even bigger than that, we have a layer on top of them called emergency response teams, and these are the teams positioned strategically across the country to handle even larger projects than that. And there are a lot of success stories that I can share from those teams and what we've done. In fact, local success stories, we serviced SEMO when Dempster had their fire, and it was very close to move-in day, and Serpro was there to take care
SEMO. Our large loss team produced that job. St. Francis Hospital, they had a large water project, and our team handled that as well. So just trying to share our coverage areas and our capacity for you guys to make sure that you understand what we're actually capable of. From a training standpoint, we have a state-of-the-art facility at our corporate headquarters. Like I said, we're 2 of the 13 Institute of Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration certification. That's what IICRC stands for. And we are an approved training school for them. We are 2 of a couple applied structural drying training facilities, and we offer continuing education. Over 20,000 participants have come through our training facilities since 2019. And this is an actual picture of our corporate office warehouse. That is a real 2-story house that was built to train crews, anywhere from technicians to owners that come through our system, on how to do what we do. So we have that house inside the warehouse they use for training on fire cleaning, and then we have a single-story home outside of the warehouse that was built with half of a crawl space kind of thing for structural drying training. That literally, it's always funny to watch. A guy from our corporate office will go into this house with a water hose and just go to town in this house, right? Now, if you guys are thinking, he soaks this house and then we teach crews how to dry that house, at that point you're probably thinking, just tear it all out. Like, there's no way you're saving that. It's funny to watch. He stands with rubber boots up to his knees and just water hose all the rooms, just everything. Carpet, pad, subfloor, cabinetry, wood floors in the kitchen, just like you find in any other house. And this is something that happens monthly at our corporate office, and they dry it out every single month. Every single class that comes through, they are trained on how to set up drying equipment properly, and it is dried out, and the materials are saved. The one time that I have ever experienced mold to be in that house was right at the front door that gets opened and closed for people coming in for class, and sometimes left open behind the baseboard right at the door jamb at the casing. Okay? It's the only mold I've ever seen in that house. And a few years ago, they ended up refinishing the hardwood floor just over the course of wetting it down, drying it out. Wood expands and contracts, and so finally they refinished the hardwood floors. But they were in a good enough condition; they didn't need to be removed. So, just a little bit about how we train people and the training facility that we have at our corporate office. To talk a little bit about program options, and one of the desires that we have with your team is to become a partner with Robinson Construction for our services, ways that we can come alongside you and help as you guys do what you do. We do have direct programming through our corporate office, but one of the things that we want to try to do with you guys in conjunction with what you do in your company is a managed program account. We have local people, we respond quickly, we've talked about our training, and one of the things that a managed program allows us to do is we have designated managed account specialists. We have a team of people right here locally that can answer the phone whenever you need us. We respond very quickly. We have consolidated invoicing for any project that we do. It's very streamlined and client specific. So as we hopefully move forward together, we can begin to set expectations operationally on what you guys expect from us, so that we can execute to the best of our ability with knowing those expectations ahead of time. A couple of things that we use, a couple of ways we price projects out. We use a program called Xactimate. It's an insurance industry program pricing software system. Anybody that does insurance type of work is going to be using this program, hopefully. It's an industry standard, and it's just a unit-based pricing metric system, line item summary that we use to put in, and we can sketch from that. Pretty much everything that we estimate goes through that. For the larger projects, we do have time and materials rate sheets. That's agreed upon for a certain clientele that usually entails commercial projects, large projects of a larger scale. We switch to a time and materials based pricing that has all of these rate sheets, labor, consumables, everything of that nature. So, recap, why ServPro? Real quick, has anybody ever had to use us personally? How did that go for you?
It went really well.
Okay. They're out here, we're out here. You can be honest. Yes, there are a lot of options out there, right? I mean, just within our immediate area, there are 4 different options for, if I have water in my house, if I had a fire, who do I call? What do I do? And just to answer why ServPro is, for the most part, because we have 50 plus years of disaster restoration experience. Okay? We have unique emergency ready programs in place. We have 2,000 franchise units in the country and in Canada. We have over 20,000 personnel in ServPro's system as a whole. And that's not including the temp labor that we use for large projects that we bring in from out of the area. And for certain projects, not including all of the subcontractors that we have signed up. There's no retainer, there's no upfront cost. You guys don't have to put us on retainer. There's nobody telling us, get here then. We have the largest supply of owned equipment in the industry. And if you ever want to tour our office and our facility, our very humble office, not as extravagant as your guys's, because this is beautiful, and I would love to have something like this, but if you guys ever were wondering, like, asset-wise, come talk to us. We'd love to show you what we're capable of, what our capacity is like. And I think why ServPro? When I think of why ServPro, because of testimonials, right? Because our team is after it day in and day out to serve our community well, and that's the goal. Richard Hastings always had a motto for us: success through service. And we believe that wholeheartedly. We do not find success based on how big the project is or how much money we made at the end of the year. We base our success on how well we served our community. Because if we serve our community well, then people will call us. And so we want to bring that to the table with Robinson Construction. We want to build a partnership with you guys as you do your work. How can we come alongside you and help in these various ways, right? Whether it be from water damage that occurs right before you guys do your finishing work, somebody nicks a pipe, to a roofer smoking up a facility and now it all has to be cleaned before we put drywall up, or heaven forbid we got drywall up and now it has to be cleaned and repainted, things of that nature, or post-construction cleanup. We can do it all. We have the capacity, both locally and nationally. And so with that, I'm going to open it up to any questions or comments or anything that you guys might want to know. Man, I'm good. Nothing? We got one more gift card? I'm going to give it to this lady up here because she used our company.
Mac, I'd like to bring up, is anybody here involved in the Atlas Roofing fire 2 years back? So you experienced how ServPro was able to bring hundreds of people from all over the country and get those guys back operating within a month, was it? That's what we're capable of doing. You know, I love you there.
Yeah, I think we have about 300 laborers on site for that project.
Within days.
One of the benefits, one of the benefits to ServPro is the ability, when you guys are in Ohio, if anything were to happen, we can be your call. We can be the phone call that you make. What do I do? And let us go to work for you in qualifying teams outside of our location that are capable of getting to that work site. And that's what we want to do with Robinson Construction, and hopefully get some more meetings later down the road to talk more details about how that would work and how that would operate. Today was just a matter of teaching you guys what we're about, who we are, what we're capable of, and we'll go from there. So if there's nobody else that has any other questions, I'm gonna stop talking. Awesome, thank you again, guys, I really appreciate it.